rock, paper, scissors, probabilities, theory, and the model itself. You will see some video recording of past pools in the meantime. And well, after 388 pools, I think I have an idea of what is going on, mostly, but it's not fully reliable. Here are the data. So based on my 388 pools that I have collected personally or not personally, I have seen 55 losses, 84 draws that resulted in basic rewards, 206 victories that resulted in these things with this distribution, as well as 43 unexpected surprises. If you calculate the probabilities of everything, then you see a pattern. The pattern is most easily visible via the unexpected surprise and the draw. One of them being approximately 11%, the other one being approximately 22%, which is like 1/9 and 2/9. The three together gives you 3/9, which is 1/3, which means that the draw probability is exactly 1/3, which matches reality. Because in rock, paper, scissors, you have 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 chance of winning, doing a draw, or losing. So I think what makes the most sense is if the draw itself is the same, like 1/3 probability, and every third case you get an unexpected surprise as a boost. Regarding the victories and losses, I am seeing a drastic bias towards the victory, 5-1. So here I measured 53% and 14%. And normally I should have measured 55.5 and 11.1 for the whole thing to make sense. But it seems like that in my specific case, the losses were amplified at the expense of victories and draws. Now, if I am correct, this is still within the boundaries of being lucky, being unlucky. Oh, and I will hide the webcam so that you see the unexpected surprise values as well, what I won. Actually, this was just spoiler. That you see that basically we have these items, no diamonds, by the way. So diamond 0, 1666 diamonds, 0 so far, which adds up to 0%, by the way. So altogether, if we think that this is actually 11.1% and there is a probability which means that it's relatively likely, then this is the case. Now, it is also possible that it's not 1/9 altogether, but actually something like 1/7, because 1/7 is 14.28, I think. Yeah, 14.28.5, 14.28%. That's what's the closest to it. But if this was 1/7 and these two are 1/3, then this is gonna be 1 minus 1/3 minus 1/7, which is 52 point something percent. It's also possible. In that case, what you need to know is that the probability of a loss is anywhere between 11.1 and 14.28, and the probability of a win is anywhere between 52.3 to 55.5%. Does it matter which model we use? Not really. It's an infinitesimally small extra value. Now, if you want to add some idea of how much each item is worth for you, it is individual. So you say orange crystal, hell I don't need it, dragon blood, hell I don't need it, gemcaster, no. Astro silver, you can evaluate it anywhere between 50 and 176. Let's suppose that I'm really frugal and I give it 50. Dreamcatcher, actually this is not bad. I can evaluate like 5 dreamcatchers, not as the purchase price, but as what I can get out of it. 150 diamonds. Why is that? I know that the real price is actually lower. The reason is that by spending 10 dream catchers 6 days out of 7, you get 300 diamonds if you only spend 10. So this is the value I get, and I get a bit stronger. And by the way, dream catchers can also be used for other purposes. For example, they are combined with some other places, the Battle of the Unions, where if you get 5 portraits, you get 300 diamonds. Fine. Generation 3.5 tokens. Value is relatively high still because of scarcity, but most of us already got 2 heroes, which means that if we get like 5 to 10 extra tokens or not, it really doesn't matter. So I'm really frugal here, and I'm evaluating this as 0. Because, well, we could need a 3rd hero for the 3rd team, and we cannot get it anywhere else. But whether we get a few tokens extra or not, it really doesn't matter, because in events you get 30 tokens. So you won't be able to use the Generation 3.5 tokens at all. Purple Vestige, I have no idea. I win it as a byproduct. I'm not gonna give anything to this. Emblem tickets, 10 emblems. Now, you could say that it costs like 700 diamonds, 2100 in total to get a red emblem. That's the most optimistic valuation. The most pessimistic valuation is straight up 0. 3 meteorites. Well, regarding the 3 meteorites, it's also... with 100 per meteorite, it's 300. That's the cheapest way to get it. I would still evaluate it somehow, because even though we get more than enough red emblems, we still need meteorites, and meteorites are competing with other resources in the web shop, so this is good. Eternity Adamants, I have no idea. Now it's mostly free. Now 100 per Eternity Adamant was the base price about like a month ago, but since the latest changes in the game, I would argue that 10 Eternity Adamants, maximum 100. You can say 0. Treasure Hunt Permit Divination Voucher, 5 in total. If you use the 80 per item valuation, which is by far the most optimistic, then you get 400. And then Orange Vestige, I have no idea really. 2 times this thing, it's 800. Mask is 9000. And diamonds, well, it's their diamond value. And what you do to get the proper diamond value is basically this times this plus this times this. You know what? I will just use the ones that have positive value. So this times this plus this times this plus these. The rest are 0. So this is the valuation altogether. 142 diamonds per pool. If you assume that you never get a mask, then the 142 goes down to 119. That's a tough life, basically. So 150 per pool means that altogether you get approximately this times 7. No, not 7. This times 5 for the 5er pool, and 1422 for the 10er pool. Okay, so this is the extra value of playing this rock, paper, scissors. So this is the interesting part. Now, you see that I'm still pulling, by the way, on 2 accounts. So this is fine. And you see also the distribution. Now, whether you should play it or not play it, I think the answer is quite obvious, because if you look at the rewards, you can get the 20 chests, 45 chests, 60 chests, 75 chests. If you look at just the 75 chest of the 40 Arcana ore, then you see that even though its value is a mere 2400 diamonds, altogether in the 4 chests you can get more than enough rewards to justify playing, plus the small probability of getting the premium reward, I mean the mask, is worth it in itself even if you don't get it eventually. Just to try to get it, it may be worth it, because the mask is highly scarce, highly sought after. It's highly valuable as well, although it's just a mere, in my case, 20 something diamonds per pool, but it may be all the way up to 60, 80 diamonds per pool, depending on the real probabilities. So it may be worth it. If I got a mask, I would keep it for the Vidomina event. It's that simple, because I could get 3 masks then. Quite obvious, but most likely we will get deluxe chests in the future. Now, the mask reward got me a 0.26%. This is the closest to 1 in 400, but I may have been really unlucky at this stage. So in reality, anywhere between 1 in 100 and 1 in 400. Now, one more important point. As a player, I would expect, not recommend, expect that we have transparent drop rates, especially in case of rare items. Or rare items, not rare items. This is a minimum expectation for any game. Not because of being spoiled or anything, but rather because this is the law in many EU member states, as well as elsewhere in some other places, even in China. And not having these rates and tweaking with the numbers creates traps and false expectations, and it just comes with extra frustration. We have to know what the real drop rates are for the mask, because like anywhere between 1 in 100, 1 in 400, I cannot reasonably measure it even if I created 10 different accounts just for this purpose. Even then there is a jitter I cannot measure. There is a confidence interval, confidence level calculation. Even then you would figure out that all my measurement that I got, like 1 mask reported out of 388 pools, it's by far not enough to conclude with confidence that the mask is anywhere between 1 in 100, 1 in 400, or maybe even 1 in 750 or 1 in 1000. We never know. Some people get it really quickly, others don't. Also, if some players get the mask with a higher probability than others, it is an act of discrimination. We don't want to get there. We don't want to start spreading rumors, accusations. So for this reason, also in the future, I've given this feedback countless times, not only in the videos, but also in official channels, unofficial channels, many places. Please always add drop rates where you can get something rare. It's not expected that the players are able to measure everything. Now, I am able to measure it with a high confidence if I sacrificed 1 or 2 days of mine to create, let's say, 100, 150 different accounts and go nuts with rock, paper, scissors. Do I have the time for that? Of course not. The alternative is that the development team checks their own code or their own drop rates, which are hard-coded somewhere, maybe in code, maybe on database level. Just export it. It's like a 5-minute job. And place it somewhere in the info box or show rare rewards. There is even a magnifier glass here on the right. And just do something with it. Like display it. Be transparent. It doesn't cost you anything other than maximum 1 hourly rate of 1 engineer. That's all it costs. Now, if it's not displayed and if there is an intention behind it, then we will go down the slippery slope of why Raid Shadow Legends, for example, is an intentionally made toxic game. And I don't think that you want to create a toxic game here. So for this reason, drop rates in 2025 are not nice to have, they are minimum expectations. absolute minimum expectations in case of events like this. And then let the players decide whether they play or whether they don't play. It's not about, okay, past events were really good, so let's hide the truth and let's trick the players into like playing a worse event. Most likely there is no intention behind it, by the way. Most likely what happens is that some people wanted to add Arcana Ore because they listened to our feedback, but then in exchange for the Arcana Ore they had to take away something. No one tested this ever, because on the test server last week when I checked, these things were not there. These changes were not there. I was expecting Generation 4 hero tokens, 5 of them, which is a useless thing at the moment, because we will not be able to use them for half a year at least. So that's what I expected originally. And on Monday it went live. I also went live recording my video on the first impressions of the Rock Paper Scissors event. Here is my second account, by the way, on other emulator. So I also went live and I saw the changes there. So no one could give you feedback about the changes. If you'd given me this, I would have given you feedback. You know what I saw last time, like on the test server? Oh, I got my fair share of hero tokens, I got my fair share of diamonds. I tried like 40-50 pulls in total. That's all I could get on the test server. And I saw nothing strange, really. So given there was nothing strange, there was nothing to report other than, listen, the drop rates are still missing. So this is a minimum expectation in 2025 and beyond. And the more players demand it, the better the industry becomes. That's what I would recommend. Because if you don't settle for this level of experience, that you see, like there is this type of absence of information, then sooner or later changes will happen in the industry. And in many new games, these changes are already happening. So I would highly recommend expecting this from the future. Not just saying, oh, we don't have it again and complain. No, expect the drop rates. And then I don't have to measure this thing myself. This is not supposed to be my job, by the way, to measure. My measurements won't be vague. And because like I only had this amount of pulls, and the whole game will be in a better place. And it's not much effort, because if you can create a wall of text on a new skill description, if you can create an info box with 6 different points explaining the mechanics, how much would it take to add the 7th point on the drop rates? It's like 5 minutes of extra work, or maybe 15. If you know what is going on. So this is what I would recommend. Absolute minimum is Discord disclosure. These are the drop rates. Go for it. If there is a discriminatory algorithm, I would recommend getting rid of it for the future and compensating those players who were negatively discriminated. Because the rules were not there. Players who got discriminated, if it happens, couldn't have known that they were discriminated by the event, because the rules were not transparent. It is fine to discriminate players if they say, let's say that if you're first in the rankings, then your chance of getting a mask is nerfed from 0.5% to 0.25%. This is an acceptable statement if I can read it before playing. At this stage it's a sunk ship. So in this case, if there is something discriminatory on the algorithm, I recommend compensating those players, because that's the fair thing to do. They couldn't have known that they were gonna be discriminated. Until we figure this out, there is no reason to think that discrimination happens, other than basically that for some players, well, they got really lucky, other players got really unlucky. but then do the numbers add up? We need to crowdsource this whole thing if these don't happen, these real probabilities don't surface. You can also see some other patterns that here probabilities, it's 1 over a really large number, 43, a mask. So it may be 1 over 50, it may be 1 over 40, it may be 1 over 30% reflected on the 1 over 9th already. So that's why you have this 0.26, which can be 0.20, 0.30, 0.50. It can even be more. And then as more people measure this, we should have aggregated this straight up because we knew up front that the probabilities were not coming. For thousands and thousands and thousands, maybe like 5,000, 10,000 pools, and then the percentages would be more accurate. That's what we could do ourselves. But me alone, with some reported feedback coming from others, a few others, and the guild, it's not enough. Not enough to reliably measure everything. It still gives you the model more or less, but basically that's it. I recommend doing this properly and disclosing the rates.